I'm Rachel Fine, registered dietitian nutritionist and founder of To The Point Nutrition. A dancer's performance is a direct result of hard work and motivation. So where does food fit into this? There's a lot of myths and a ton of antiquated ideals, and I'm here to dispel those.
Johanna, thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited to connect with you and just kind of pick your brain on like all things fueling and your relationship with dance and food. So thank you.
Of course, I've been following you for years, so I feel honored that you wanted to interview me and ask me questions. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Of course, of course. Well, I'd love to just start off with you introducing yourself and kind of getting us up to date on where you're at these days.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Johanna Sigurdardottir. I'm from San Jose, California. I'm Icelandic American. I've trained my whole life to be a professional ballet dancer, but I also took my academics seriously and I study at Northeastern University. And I'm currently a business analyst and an ice girl.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You are doing incredible things. I love hearing how you have been able to move through a beautiful dance career, continue focusing on your academics. I can actually very much relate to that, and we can get into that in a bit. And it's just very inspiring, and that's really why I wanted to have you on here today. It's just, digging into how this balance has helped you along the way. Particularly just to kind of get started, I find that our relationships with dance shift throughout our careers, from our training days to our career days. And you've had a lot of shifts in your career and then also just in life in general. And I'm curious how that has impacted your relationship with dancing.
Yeah, I wrote some notes down, so if you see
Perfect.
me looking off, that's why.
Perfect.
My love of ballet has only grown, and at the moment, I love teaching so much and passing down my knowledge to ballet to all ages. It's only grown. I love piecing together classes, taking combinations from all my teachers throughout the years, and it's heartwarming because I think of so many of my ballet teachers that have impacted my life and taught me.
Yeah.
That's only grown through the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I love that. I love how you've been able to really channel your passion for ballet in many different directions, teaching being obviously the biggest one. And I also love that you are able to take on that role of modeling sustainable behaviors with your students, being that you are doing so many other things, right? It's obvious that your life is just not hyper fixated in the studio because you're also a student. You're an ice girl. You've got a lot going on. I think that's a beautiful representation of the importance of balance for dancers. So is that something that you bring up with your students?
Absolutely. I think the ballet world is beautiful. It has taught me so many things like resilience, discipline, passion, what true love means. But there's also so many other worlds that we can discover. So I definitely mention that to my students. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm curious though, before becoming a student, how long have you been a student at Northeastern?
I've taken the long route. So I started at Fordham University in New York
Awesome.
City
Mm-hmm.
because I was training at the School of American Ballet. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a Lincoln Center campus, and I would walk over to Fordham University and then walk back to SAB. And I took the long route as I was dancing, and I would take maybe one course or two courses at a time. COVID definitely helped with expediting my academic process. Um, and sorry, can I clarify what the question was again?
Yes, I just wanted to know how long it's been that you've been also in the academic world, really doing both things, right? Honing in on both your dancing and your academics. But it sounds like it's been quite a while, which is
It's
amazing.
Yeah, it's been pretty much my whole life,
I
but I
love that.
started college when I was 17. So in
Mm-hmm.
2019, that's when I started college, and I'm still in college.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Amazing. But again, just kind of going back to how that balance has probably helped for your love of dance to just grow.
Absolutely. It also helps me shift my mindset. So
Hmm.
I noticed that when I wasn't taking my college courses, it didn't help me. It actually helped me to have that different, something else to focus on when I'd go back home
Hmm.
at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that so relatable. I was at NYU for a time, like while I was dancing as well, and just having both worlds, I always felt, even though it was very challenging to keep that balance, having my foot in both worlds has always just helped me to, even though I would teetered on the brink of burnout with dance at some points, it really did help me to never necessarily leave the dance world abruptly, right? I feel like I was able to grow my passion for each nutrition and dance because
Yes.
I allowed myself that, those opportunities.
Absolutely. I think
Hmm.
also ballet dancers, they go into the studio, they do class, they go to rehearsals, and they're learning all this choreography, but they don't know the behind the scenes of the business and how much work goes into supporting them. So that's what I also love learning is just how much work other people are doing for us and for our
Mm.
love of ballet.
That's really interesting. Do you plan to apply your studies in as a business analyst into the dance world?
Absolutely. I've already been involved with marketing for ballet companies. So I
Hmm.
love learning all aspects for sure.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. That's awesome. Now, when you and I connected previously, you had mentioned your touring life, right? When you were
Yes.
touring. And I really wanted to ask you a bit about some of the biggest challenges you faced during those times.
Yeah, I personally love challenges and
Mm.
seeing how I can navigate that. For tour, it depends because each ballet is different. I think it was hard being on a bus after performing so many shows, being on stages that maybe weren't sprung, and going to a different stage each day. You don't know what the layout's going to be. Sometimes we'd have to alter choreography. And most ballet companies, they train in a studio and they go to the same theater and they know the lay of the land. But I think that was probably the biggest challenge for me. And from a nutrition standpoint, sometimes we weren't able to go to the grocery store. Sometimes you were just going to gas stations and
Hmm.
you never know what's at the gas station. You don't know when your next stop is going to be. So navigating that, it's hard. There's no easy fix to it,
Hmm.
but you do what you can do. And thankfully, the tours were very supportive and they provided food and snacks for us, usually free breakfast, free dinner, and then snacks throughout the day. So I was very grateful for that because you don't know what you're going to get at the gas
Hmm.
station. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. I work with a ton of dancers who are also traveling constantly on tours. And the concept of food flexibility is something that I'm always talking about because dancers, if they're struggling in their relationship with food, this becomes really challenging. We don't necessarily have that full control over where we're accessing food, but also when we're accessing food. So just being very what I call proactive, right, to fuel your body, thinking ahead and planning is incredibly important in these moments. And of course, being flexible to the items that you're going to have on hand, because it sounds like that's great. I'm so happy that the company was able to supply, which is like relatively pretty common for even the dancers that I work with. But still, there are limitations to what they're providing, and you have to be flexible, right?
Yes. Yeah. You have to be flexible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm curious if it was during that time, or maybe it was prior, maybe when you were a student, when we were at SAB, or afterwards, when you made a connection between the role of food and your performance.
Absolutely. Let me think of. So, I definitely don't think that food determined my success, but I
Mm.
learned what worked best for me over time. Um, for example, if I ate a certain food and I didn't feel good afterwards, that was a learning process. So, I think every body is completely different, and what works best for me might not work best for other people. So, I'm still learning, um, but I definitely think that there was some growth going
Mhm.
from student to professional. And it's completely different. Being a student is completely different than professional fueling.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. You know, it's very dependent on the dancer and where the dancer is dancing in regards to answering, what's the difference between fueling as a pre-professional and fueling as a professional. I will tell you that each of these instances holds its own set of challenges, right? A
Mhm.
lot of my pre-professional dancers are really more struggling, um, two different things, struggling in their relationships with food because they're so hung up on an end goal and an end career goal, right? And unfortunately, the inevitable often seeps into their training in regards to just falling into unsustainable habits around food. With
Mhm.
that being said, professionals too, wanting or feeling the need to micromanage how their bodies look or micromanage their food intake for the purpose of a role, fitting into costumes. A lot of these pose similar but also different challenges among these two groups. I do think that in some settings for students, there's an ease in regard to schedules and scheduling. They're packed, but they're predictable versus like
Yes.
professional life. It's a little bit more unpredictable in knowing when our rehearsal is going to start, when they're going to end, what rehearsals you're going to be thrown into. So I think
Mhm.
there's more predictability for students versus when you're professional, you don't have that. And that could pose a huge challenge in fueling for itself. So it's kind of hard to say that one is more challenging than the other. I think they just pose really different experiences. And it's a matter of what you just said beautifully, which is trial and error. One thing that I'm always working on with dancers is this concept called the healthy dancer body of evidence. Really identifying your own evidence because we're all so independent and
Mhm.
how our bodies respond to different foods, eating at different times. It's so different. I was actually just on a call with a dancer before this, and the question was, what do you think about coffee in the afternoon? Well, it depends. It depends. If that's not going to bother your sleeping, then maybe a cup of coffee is totally fine. But
Mhm.
if you're somebody who's really super sensitive to caffeine, then we might have to skip it or, have it earlier in the day. So I think it's so dependent on the dancer. It's dependent on the environment, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I love that. That was a really great point. I'm also kind of curious to hear about your life as an ice girl and just how
Yes.
that has changed from your dancing days. Well, I shouldn't say your dancing days, more of your ballet days.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a new world for me.
Mm.
I'm so excited. The group of girls and my director are absolutely wonderful. I love hockey. So this started at my internship. I was speaking to one of my coworkers, and he mentioned the hockey team and that there's a dance team affiliated with the hockey team. I didn't know that that was even a possibility, so I tried out. It's more cheer, so there's palms,
Yeah.
and I auditioned. I got it. I'm a rookie, so I'm still learning. One of the things is I lift my elbows like first position, but you're supposed to keep it in. This is
Okay.
so abnormal for me.
Sure. Sure.
Um, yeah, but it's been wonderful. We have about, I think we go to the rink and we're there for maybe 6 hours for
Mm,
game day
mm-hmm.
because we're there
Yeah.
2 hours before, and then sometimes we're there after signing things or helping out with an auction. Um, but they are very helpful and they bring snacks and food and it's always there. So if we're talking
Yeah.
about a nutrition standpoint, um, they supply snacks for
Yeah.
us,
Well,
which is
that's
nice.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work with a few actual university dance teams, and those game days are so incredibly long and intensive. Some of the dance teams that I work for, they're not getting home after a game day until maybe 1 a.m., especially if there's a win for,
Yeah.
involved in there. So again, that concept of proactive fueling, right? That's where it comes into play, knowing that you're going to have those emergency snacks on you so that you can keep up your energy levels until your next opportunity to eat. That seems to be the bottom line here.
Yeah. I think just having emergency snacks
Mm-hmm.
and having a variety because even as women, we have 4 week cycles. So each week
Mm.
our needs are shifting.
Yeah.
So having a variety that meets your needs and what you want and what you crave is also very important. So
Yeah.
you want to know.
Yeah, yeah. And on that note too is also knowing your body. You know what I mean? Knowing when it is time that you might need a break. That's in speaking of cycles, right? I think that is also really important. There are certain times in your cycle where you do feel tired, more drained, and being able to respond to that
Mhm.
with more rest,
Mhm.
maybe more hydration, some of those more self-care rituals is going to be incredibly important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have one final question for you, and I ask it to everybody who I chat with. How would you redefine what it means to be the healthy dancer?
Yes, I have an answer.
Yay.
A healthy dancer listens to their bodies. Change is inevitable, and listening to our bodies as we continue to grow through life is so important. I'm also an advocate that at the end of the day, you are in charge of taking care of yourself. Nobody knows you and your needs more than you. So treat yourself with love, kindness, and patience. I would also stress that you don't need to have everything figured out. You will learn as you go. Don't give up and keep trying.
That was
That's my
beautiful. That was
answer.
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, channeling growth mindset here, right?
Mhm.
Being open to that growth, to that change. A big theme that I'm noticing in a lot of your answers to a lot of my questions, and you pinpointed at the beginning of our chat, was being open and liking challenges, right? I think that's an incredible mindset for dancers to have because we can so easily feel threatened with
Mhm.
challenges, whether it's challenges in the studio, challenges with food, challenges in working on our relationship with food. A lot of dancers can get very hesitant. Um, but with that being said, and oftentimes that the discomfort that you're experiencing in these challenges, that's what propels you forward, right? Two steps back to take a step forward. And I love that overall theme here is to accept challenge and to see it as an opportunity for growth, whether that's in your technique as a dancer or just in life in general through your for my students who are listening and for my professionals. So thank you so much. You've shared such beautiful insight today.
You. Yeah, and to add to that,
Hmm.
I was thinking of changing your habits. There's this concept that if you want to floss all of your teeth every single day, you start with one tooth.
Mm,
So if you want to make a change or branch out, it's not everything. And that's
yeah,
where I think people get stressed. They're like,
yeah,
it's all or nothing. But
yeah,
it's no, just dip your toes in. Just try a small change, just a very, very small change. See how it affects you, see if it was good or bad, and then
yeah,
go from there. So maybe that's
absolutely.
helpful. I don't know. Maybe that's helpful.
No, it really is. Starting small really helps to lead to bigger leaps, right? And again, I think dancers can apply that both in the studio from a technical standpoint, but truly also in life as well. Even if it's coming down to something like picking up a new type of style or a new type of uh, choreography. So, yeah, I love that mindset, Johanna. Thank you so much for sharing that today. It was beautiful.
It's so wonderful meeting you.
Yeah, you too.
I'm so
You
happy that
too.
you're at SAB too.
Yeah.
I love
Well, thank you. Thank you again for
Thank
joining me
you.
today, and we'll stay connected, okay? I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Have a good
Have a good
day.
day. Bye.